Hi, this is Involved Innovation YouTube channel. In this video, we will see about Webpack. Webpack is a module bundler that takes your JavaScript or Typescript and other assets like CSS, images, and Sass, etc. and processes them and outputs minified, optimized files that can be served to the browser. Here, understanding of Webpack is really the key if you are a front-end developer or you are a full-stack developer. Even there are like too many replacements for Webpack in current world like Vite, Parcel, all those things. But having a solid understanding in Webpack will be really helpful for you on a longer run. Particularly in this AI world, it will generate all the code, but if you have a solid understanding on Webpack, if something goes wrong, that will help you debug the issues. And with that being said, we will cover the core concepts of Webpack. And this is hands-on tutorial. I will be covering everything with a hands-on project. So there are like 6 core components of a Webpack, which we will be writing in webpack.config.js. So the first thing is entry, the starting point of the application where the Webpack begins building. This is a JavaScript or TypeScript file. This is the point where it starts building your component. And then you have output. This is the final place where the bundled output files will be posted. And then you have loaders. The loaders transforms files. We will be using different loaders like Babel for transpiling from TypeScript to JavaScript. And then you have Sass loaders to convert the Sass to CSS. And then you have file loaders, that is to copy your static assets to the output folder. And then you have plugins which extends Webpack's functionality. You have plugins to optimize the assets. For production, you might need more minification, so you will be having minification on the CSS, and then to generate HTML based on the template. And then there is also the module federation plugin, which enables you to do the micro front-end architecture in the UI. And then you have mode, which defines what environment you are working on. Development stage or production, those things will be mentioned here. And then you have dev server, provides a local development server with hot reloading and other functionalities. With this, we will start with our base project. I already created a base project. So first start with base project branch, and here in this base project have basic index.html, and then here in src I have static assets. And this assets as images. I have 3 rock, paper, and scissors. And then you have one JavaScript file I have, and then you have a style. Inside the style I have a CSS. This doesn't use Webpack. We will start with this and then we will convert this to a Webpack project. If you want to follow along, you can follow along by taking the copy from this base project. And open the terminal here and use the git command to clone this to my local folder. Open Visual Studio Code in this particular folder. Now we will switch to the branch. Open terminal here. Branch name is base project. Now you can able to see it doesn't have any package.json even here, so we are not using any third-party JavaScript files here. Now I will open this index.html in a browser. So now this application, everything renders in the index.html, and this is a simple rock paper scissors game. You can click rock and the computer will choose one randomly and it will say whether you won or lost. And then you also have a score here. So to convert this project to Webpack, first we will start with creating the package.json file. So to create a package.json file, you will give the command npm init, and you can give -y. This will create this package.json with all the default values. So now it created this package.json with the default values. I can able to see the package.json here. Once that is done, we need to install Webpack and Webpack CLI. I am installing this as development dependencies. Now with this, we will be starting with our Webpack configuration. To start with the Webpack configuration, we need to create webpack.config.js. We will be defining the mode first. So the mode is the development, and then we will be defining the entry point. For this application, the entry point is app.js. So here this app.js is residing inside src, and inside src there is a JavaScript folder JS and then app.js, and then we need to define the output. Output has different properties. Here we are using file name and then path. So the file name is a place where this JavaScript files will get bundled. In this case, I have only one JavaScript. Think if you have like more than one JavaScript, and also you have some dependencies in the node modules which you have as a real project dependencies, that also will get bundled, and then it will get bundled in the name bundle.js. This is the folder where all the artifacts will be saved. Now we have our base webpack.js. Now we will go and modify our package.json to add the script to build. So we already have the test here. We will remove it, and then we will add webpack, and then instead of test I will name it as build. Now we have defined the script to build. Now we will move the index.html file to dist folder. For now I will create this dist folder manually. We will see how to create this index.html through plugin shortly. Here change the script reference from src.js.app.js to bundle.js. So why I am changing this here? Because this is the file name which the webpack will be creating for us. So here in this case we have provided the output will be in dist folder, and then all the JavaScript will be bundled and the name will be bundle.js. So that's why we are naming this as bundle.js. Go back to the app.js. Here we will import the CSS file. Enter import and then style/style.css. Now we have imported the style.css here. Now we will install the loaders to load this style. We will be using two different loaders. One is css-loader, which does the CSS transformation. So for example, if you have import statement or any high-level CSS syntax, that will get converted to low-level CSS. And then we have style loader that is used to embed the style sheets to your HTML. Now I will go back to the webpack.config.js, and this is where we will start with loaders. The loaders will be with the name module, and here this is an object. Here inside this object we can have rules, and the rules is of type array, because you can have different loaders. As of now we are using a loader for CSS. We can also have loader for TypeScript. We can have loader for static files. You can have loaders for your SAS files. Test. This is a regular expression, so we need to provide a regular expression here. So I need to capture all the CSS files. So CSS give the use. So this is where we need to provide our loaders. So we have installed style loader, and then we will be using CSS loader. So now we have used the loader here. So this does the loading part, and here CSS loader converts the high level CSS to low level, and then style loader embeds the style sheet to your HTML file. Now go back to the index.html. Here in the dist folder, remove the style sheet. You no longer need the style sheets here, because this will be embedded with the help of style loader. And then we need to also import all the images here. So go to app.js. Here I will import all the image files. Now we need to move all this images file to the dist folder. For this application to work fine, I need these 3 image files. So if you are using Webpack version less than 5, in this case I'm using Webpack 5.97. If you are using lower version, then you need to use file loader. Go back to the webpack.config.js. Inside rules, I will add another new rule. This has a regular expression in the test, just like how we have did it in CSS. So this works on PNG, JPG, and JPEG, and GIF, and then SVG. Since I am using Webpack 5, I am using assets/resource. In your case, if you are using older version, you need to use file loader, and then you also need to install npm install file loader. Now we will build this application. To build this application, run the command npm run build. Now the application got built, and you can able to see it moved this rock paper scissor file here, and then it created bundle.js. Here we can able to also see all the css loader style sheets. It got loaded here. In the index.js, nothing got changed because this already we moved. So now this is fine. Now we will open this index.html. Now this image files are not loading correctly. Now the image files are not loading correctly. This is because here in the index.html we have referenced src assets images stone.png. So here obviously this won't work because this got changed, and then here everything is in root directory. So now we will see how to create this index.html automatically. So for that I will delete this dist folder. We no longer need the index.html here. We will change this index.html. This will automatically gets created in the dist folder. It creates a dist folder and then will also create the index.html there. So to do that, first we will start with installing the html-webpack-plugin. This also need to be installed as a development dependencies. Once it is installed, here we need to create a different section. This is a plugin section, and inside the plugin section, this plugin is array. You can have n number of plugins. As I mentioned, there are like different plugins. One is html-webpack-plugin to create the HTML, and then you have module federation. You have different kind of plugin there. Before that, we need to import the html-webpack-plugin. So we are creating a new html-webpack-plugin instance. Then here we are referencing the index.html, and then this is the template which we need to be followed, that is index.html, and then here the file name is index.html, and then here the title is rock paper scissor. We no longer need to reference this png directly. Instead of that, we can use the webpack placeholders. So we will mark this as a webpack placeholders. So here replace this src assets images to equivalent to require.src assets image.stone.png, and here we need to do the same for paper as well. Now here I am hard coding the title, but in this case, if you don't want to hard code the title here, if that title need to be coming from the webpack.config.js, we can replace the title here with webpack-plugin.options.title, and then you can delete style css. This is no longer need. We can remove this script as well. If you don't want to use webpack placeholders, if you have different files where you want to do the same, then you can use html-loader as one of the loader. This automatically does everything for you. I will show an example with that as well, but keep in mind with html-loader the webpack placeholders won't work. In that case, you need to have a hard-coded value in the title. npm run build. It says plugin is unknown thing because this is not plugin, this is plugins. So npm run build. Now it automatically created a dist folder, and inside that we can able to see 3 files, and then we have bundle.js, index.html. It automatically created the bundle.js, and also it filled in the title whatever we gave in here, the title rock paper scissor, and then it also referenced the images correctly. Now we will go back to our webpack. Here in the rock paper scissor dist folder, we will refresh. Now everything works fine. Still we are finding some issues here, so we will fix that. Go back to app.js. Here this no longer need to be a string. Instead of that, this can be stone, and here this can be paper, and then here this can be scissors. Now we will delete the dist folder. No need to delete, but I'm just deleting just for clarity. And then you can issue npm run build, refresh this. Now we can able to see everything renders perfectly fine. We have used a webpack to bundle everything automatically for us. We will see the same example with html-loader. So now we will replace this code For now, I will keep this as html-webpack-plugin.options.title. We will show you what happens when you are using the webpack placeholders along with html-loader. So now I have installed the html-loader, and then here you need to add one more loader. This loads the HTML and then it uses html-loader. Now if I build npm run build, it automatically built. You can able to see in the index.html, all those things are correctly replaced. We haven't changed anything, but the placeholders are not getting replaced. So what you can do is, if you have too many HTML files in your project for some reason, you want to use HTML-loader, and you can have this exclude statement in the loader, and then you can exclude only the files which has the webpack placeholders. If I am not using HTML-loader, then I need to use the webpack placeholders. And now we will see what is dev server. So here the dev server creates a local web server for you, and then it serves all the resources, local port, whatever you have defined for that particular server. So this will be really handy if you are developing, because this also does hot reload. That means like whenever you change something, automatically those things will get refreshed in your browser. So for that, we need to install webpack dev server as one of the dependency. Now I have installed the webpack dev server. Now go back to the webpack.config.js. Here we need to create a new dev server, and then this takes different parameters. First we need to provide the static. This is the place where we are bundling our application. So here in this case, this is in the root folder and this is inside dist, and then we can enable or disable hot reload. In my case, I want hot reload. You want to automatically open or not? So yeah, I want that. So I am enabling that as well. I am using compress. So this does enable the gzip compression history fallback. This is true in Webpack configuration server. It tells the server to respond with index.html file for any route that server does not recognize. So this allows JavaScript to handle the routing on the client side instead of the server returning 404 error. Now we have our dev server. Now we will go back to package.json. Here we will add another script. This script is to start our webpack server, and then webpack serve, and this is hyphen open. To start the webpack server, enter the command npm run followed by start. Your webpack server started. Here you can able to see it gets started in the localhost 8080. You can define your port here in the webpack config.json. Here you can define your port. For example, here in this case, I want this to be opened in 3000 rather than 8080. Now this gets open in port 3000. Now everything works fine. But we have also enabled the hot reload, so the changes which we made to this particular project will be automatically refreshed. This static files automatically gets a different hash value, but if you don't want that behavior, then you can use the original name. So to use the original name, you can go to the output, and inside output you can provide asset module file name, and then here I will give it as name followed by extension. We will delete this dist folder and then stop the server and then npm run build. Now the dist folder got created again, but now you can able to see the paper.png, css.png, stone.png. No longer it takes the hash value, and in the index.js as well, we have the file name itself. There is another parameter here that is clean, and you can set that to true. If you are setting that to true, then the dist folder will get cleaned. With this, we have our base. Now we have completely modified our base project to use the webpack, and everything is now automatically generated by webpack. What if you have TypeScript instead of JavaScript? Now I will convert this code to TypeScript. replace this, and here this is complaining, so we need to create the babel.config.js. we need to add babel preset and then babel preset typescript. Before that, we will install the dependencies for babel. So for this, we will be using babel. The babel is the one which does the transpiling part. So here we are installing Typescript, babel core, babel loader, and then babel preset environment, and then preset TypeScript and types node. We can use the module exports here. If you don't want to see this error, you can create a custom d.ts. You can go to the src folder. In the src folder, you can create a file named custom.d.ts, and here we can reference the png here because that's what we have here as well. So now we have defined the custom.d.ts. all the errors in the TypeScript on the images gone, and then we also defined the babel-config.js. And then here, go back to the webpack.config.js. We need the loader. So this loader will be working on all the ts file, and it can be also tsx, and then exclude the files present inside node modules. We no need that. And then we need babel loader, and then we need these two presets, that is preset env and then preset TypeScript. Now save this, and then we can add another tag, that is a resolve tag. Whenever you are referencing a JavaScript, you don't want to give the extensions, you can just export with the name. So if you want to do that, you can use the resolve. So what resolve does is, it will see whatever extensions you have provided. Here I have provided ts, tsx, and then js. You can also provide jsx. So from now on, if you are importing any JS file from one file to another file, you no longer need to provide the extension. It will be automatically resolved. Now we have everything. We have the TypeScript file here. Delete. Now issue npm run build. It says src.js.app.js doesn't exist. That is right, because now we have changed this to TypeScript file. So we need to change our entry as well. npm run build. So now the build is successful. We have our dist folder, and inside that the bundle.js got created, and then we also have the index.html, everything loaded correct. We will start the dev server here. We have started the dev server here. Now we have successfully transpiled the TypeScript to JavaScript. You might need a different configuration for production. You might have a different configuration for development, staging, and different environment. So for that, you can use webpack merge. So webpack merge will enable us to use different configurations. I will stop this server here. I don't need this dev server dependency for my production, and then other things I need for my production environment as well. I need the tsx, I need the css-loader, I need the files, and then I need the webpack.html-plugin as well. I will rename this webpack.config.js to webpack-common.js, and then I will create another file. I will name this as webpack-dev.js. And here in the webpack-dev.js, we only need the dev server, and then copy the dev server. And here we no longer need the mode, because that we will be defining in dev or prod. This is the only thing which we need in development. All other things are fine. That can be common. There's another thing, dev tool. If you are trying to debug, whenever you are debugging, when you are getting error, you want to see the source file associated to that error place. So if we want to do that, you can use dev tool inline source map. There is another variant. We will use that in production, that is source map. There is a difference between source map and then inline source map. The inline source map embeds the source map directly inside the bundled JavaScript file, making it part of the output. And instead of having a separate map file, the source map is included at the end of bundle as a comment. So the browser can read to map the minified code back to the original source code. But in case of source map, it generates a separate .map file alongside the bundle JavaScript, but the browser will fetch the .map file separately during debug to map the minified code back to the original source code. The source map reduces the size of production build. If this is not performant on the debugging side, we don't need that debugging performance in production, obviously. So we can use source map in production environment, and we can use inline source map in the dev environment. So I will create another webpack configuration. I will name this as webpack.prod.js. And here in the webpack.prod.js, I also want to do some minification on the CSS. So I will install this dependencies, that is teaser webpack-plugin dependencies and CSS minimizer webpack-plugin. In the webpack.prod.js, I don't need the dev server, but I want to apply some more minification to make the bundle size really small. Now we will create the webpack.config.js. This is where our webpack merge will take place. So webpack.config.js. Now we have the webpack.config.js here, and then the webpack.config.js takes the webpack merge and then gets the common config. Here the common config is coming from webpack common.js, and then we will take the environment as a param, and then we will load that particular webpack environment specific configuration, and then we will merge the common config with this environment config. For example, if we want to load dev, we will be passing in dev as a param. This environment config will be webpack.dev.js, and then both the webpack common.js and the webpack dev.js will be merged. We have these 4 webpack files here. This doesn't look good, so we can create a new folder. We will name it as webpack, and then we can move everything inside. There is a way we can able to reference that. We will do that. Now we have moved here, and now go to package.json. Here the webpack config is no longer in the root directory. So here webpack, and we need to provide config. No longer the webpack config is in the root directory, so we need to reference config and then webpack config. And for build, I will give the production environment, so I will pass in this value -env and then environment equivalent to prod, and then we will do the same for serve as well. So this is not server, this is serve. For this we will use the dev configuration. Environment is not prod, environment is dev, and then we will also create another one that is for debugging. So for debugging we can use the dev environment. So now delete the dist folder here. Before that we can able to see there is no source file here. Delete, and then npm run build. So here the distribution folder is now created inside the webpack. We don't need that. So here this is what I mentioned, the bundle.js.map. Here we have this file, and then we have the file here, the minified file here, and then the map file here. Now we don't want the dist file to be created inside webpack.js. So go back to the webpack common.js, and here you can reference the dist folder. So for this I need to go one level down and then dist folder here. So now everything looks good. Now that we already deleted the dist folder, npm run build. Now the distribution file got created here. You can start the dev server here as well. npm run start, and this gets started, and like inspect. You can go to the sources. You can able to see the bundle.js. Here you have all the code, everything, and then if you want to debug anything, you can able to debug here directly. Everything looks fine. Thanks for watching. I hope you have learned a lot on the webpack. In the next video, we will be seeing how to configure webpack in a React component, and also we will see how to set up micro frontend with webpack. And then thanks for watching. If you find this video helpful, share it with your friends and subscribe for more technical videos on computer science topic. Thank you.